Good morning, everyone. Welcome to today's Birst webinar. I'm Wendy Levine, DRI's Marketing Director. I am honestly a fan of the Birst Business Intelligence tool that we're going to be showing you today. I started using it just after Inform last year, and I do regularly use Birst Dashboards to manage our marketing KPIs and goals here at DRI. While I like to think that I have some technical skills, I am a marketer, not a software developer. But everything I'm going to show you today, I was able to learn on my own with the help of Birst online help and education for the most part. This presentation should take between 20 to 25 minutes and we'll have 3 parts. First, we're going to look at the tools that an end user of the Birst application has access to. That's the dashboard we're looking at right now. Then we're going to take a look at some of the back-end data tools that can be used by your IT staff or power users to transform data sets and create the reports and charts that we're seeing in the dashboard here. Birst has a really nice mix of nice intuitive user tools that we found our customers really like, partnered with some sophisticated and very strong back-end data tools that make this a real true business intelligence application. Lastly, I'm going to cover some of the common questions that we've been getting from customers as we've been talking to them about Birst, and that does include pricing. We should have plenty of time for your questions at the end as well. Okay, so what we're looking at right now is a single dashboard that was created using the Birst tools. And I'm going to go through this in some detail to give you an idea of the types of things that users will see on a dashboard and also the types of things that they can do with the reports and the charts that we're seeing here. So at the top, we have 3 separate KPIs. These are pulled from the data that we have access to in Birst. We have here total sales, quantity shipped after due date, and quantity ordered. Each KPI can have multiple components. So you see the colored box or indicator before each of these. You can set up to 4 actually color sets, so that in this case green represents the fact that our sales numbers are where we want them for the time frame we're looking at right now, and there are sales numbers. We also can put little charts at the end that show a history of what that number's been doing. Our quantity shipped after due date is in the red. It is not where we want it right now. And our quantity ordered is in the yellow. So we can see those KPIs. We can generate as many KPIs as we want on any individual dashboard. As you might expect with any business intelligence tool, we have charts that are available. But there are some really nice, simple things that Birst does that I just love. So for example, here I'm looking at my sales by my sales teams. I have 4 sales teams. But I'm not particularly interested in my international team right now. I want to see how my domestic team's doing. So I can go ahead and just click on international in my legend, and it hides that from the graph, and the graph is rewritten to show me just those items that I have selected. We can change back and forth. I also can drill down into any of these graphs. So if we go ahead and drill into East, we're going to see 2 sections of our East sales team made up of Northeast and Southeast. You'll also notice, hopefully you notice that the sales numbers and our other KPIs, as well as all the other graphs, are changing as I'm drilling down and clicking on these items. So the entire dashboard is using the same set of data, and as I drill down, it's going to rewrite the information that I'm seeing to show me just what I want to look at. So right now I want to look at my East sales team, and I'm seeing their total sales. I'm seeing how we're performing in all areas. So that's really nice. I can drill down again into our Northeast team. And I don't know about you, but I find pie charts with that many items a little much. It's showing me every single state that's part of that territory. I'm going to go ahead and click here and ask it to show me this as a table. And then I get a list of all of the states and the numbers that we were looking at. Again, just to reiterate, these are all of the tools that your users can have access to. I'm going to scroll back here. You can see the breadcrumbs that are being left up here. I scroll down in the east, I scroll down in the northeast, but I can go right back to our original chart. Let's jump over to this column chart here. We, of course, have the same kinds of drill down capabilities with this chart, but I'd like to show you a couple of other features using this chart. Any of these charts we can export as a PDF file or as an Excel spreadsheet, and you'll get the actual data so that you can use that data outside of Birst or outside of this dashboard. So that's a really nice feature. You also can actually export the entire dashboard as a PDF file and send it to someone if for some reason you need to do that. The other feature that I want to show you is that if you choose, you can give your users the ability to change the charts that they're looking at. This is called a column selector function, and it's going to expand the chart so I can work with it individually. We're going to take a look, instead of looking at sales dollars by type, I'm going to look at this by region, but I have region up here, so I'm going to change that to end user type. So I can change the data that I'm looking at. I can even change what I'm measuring. Let's say I want to look at the quantity shipped instead of the sales dollars. I can completely change this chart, exit out of here. It redraws the chart for me, puts it on the dashboard, and I can continue to drill down, if I want to, into those charts. So this is set up when you set up the chart. You choose whether your users have this capability and what fields they're able to choose and select, and what they're able to see within each of those charts. We have a little funnel chart over here, so you can do those as well. Lots of different kinds of charts available. But I also want to just show you, of course, that we can have more standard charts or reports here. This is an Excel-like chart that's showing us some sales details. You'll notice that some of the data here is color-coded. We set those rules up when we established the chart so that if my extended price is below a certain amount, it turns red. If it's above a certain amount, or it turns green. If we have items that we shipped after the due date, those are red here as well, so those stand out. I can drill down into anything that's highlighted here or underlined here. So I could drill down into a sales team, drill down into a particular customer. One of the really neat things, though, that I'd like to show you is the ability for Birst to link to things external to Birst. So in this case, we have a description of an item, and I'm going to click on that, and it's actually going to bring up my browser and search Google for that description. Now, that particular example may not be super useful, but imagine if this were a FedEx tracking number, and when you clicked on that, it passed the FedEx tracking number to the FedEx website, brought that up, and showed you the status of that shipment. Also, taking that one step further, we can pass items to CloudSuite ERP or SyteLine so that we could potentially bring up an item master record or an order number, an order based on the order number. So possibilities are limitless, but I'm hoping you can imagine some ways to use that functionality as well, because that's a feature we don't see in all business intelligence tools. This chart down here looks very similar, but it actually is different. It's called a crosstab chart. And for those of you who are Excel users, this is very similar to a pivot table in Excel. I have multiple dimensions of this chart, and I can drill down into any one of these as well. But crosstabs or pivot tables give us some additional functions to do automatic summing and subtotals. I can even go in here and say, I want to see all of these sales numbers by a percentage of the grand total. They call it a grand summary. And it automatically adds a column for each of my sales numbers. These are product codes. So I have sales dollars, and then I have a percentage of those sales dollars by the total at the bottom. And your users can hide those totals, add new totals and new sums, and do some pretty sophisticated analysis right in the dashboard. I really like that feature. Okay, last but not least, we can do heat maps. This heat map is actually a map of the United States, and it's showing us our sales by state. So if I hover over any one of these states, I'm seeing the field I'm using is extended price. So the total dollars that I've sold in that state for the particular time frames that I'm looking at. You don't have to actually use a map to do a heat map. You can do heat maps within bar charts and things like that too. And those can be very nice ways of showing your data in a different visual way and make it easy for users to see certain data visually. So I really like that feature as well. Go back up to the top here. So that's a dashboard. Obviously, you can create your own dashboards. You can have multiple dashboards. You can have KPIs and charts that actually drill down into additional dashboards as opposed to just drilling down within the chart. So I could have my total sales dollars here. I could click on that and drill down into a sales dashboard. So we use that function actually here at DRI. So you can set up multiple dashboards. You can give users access to different dashboards, and then within the dashboards, you can give them access to some or all of the features that I showed you just now. I'd like to jump now to some of the tools that your power users or even your IT folks might be using. We have a number of projects set up in our Birst environment here, and a project is a set of data, dashboards, and reports that you've developed. You can give users access to particular projects as an administrator or editor, or you can give users access to particular projects just to be able to view dashboards and reports. I'm going to jump into this dashboard here. And what we're looking at here is the Pronto Connect area of Birst. This is actually where we would connect to data sources. And I'm not going to go through and actually run through these, but I did want to point out all of the data sources that you can connect to with Birst. SQL databases is first up, and as you know, the CloudSuite Industrial or SyteLine system that you're using is in a SQL database. We can pull data from a SQL database directly. Birst will house any data that it's accessing in the Birst cloud for easy access and also, to speed up the use of that data. It's a really nice setup. The tool we actually use here at DRI is Dropbox. So we use a DRI tool called DataBridge to take data out of the CloudSuite system that we use. We use the CRM functionality right in CloudSuite Industrial. We use DataBridge to pull out the data that we want to see. It puts it in a Dropbox account, and Birst pulls that Dropbox account occasionally. I think I have it set to once a day right now, and it pulls that data automatically and refreshes the data on the dashboards that my users are looking at. So lots of nice features to automate the data connectivity. We can also pull data automatically from Google Analytics, Salesforce, and a number of other sources. But keeping in mind that Birst will work with data that is, any data that's in a flat file. So if you're not seeing a system here that you want to integrate to, any flat file Excel sheet can be used by Birst. And one of the other things I want to point out here is that as we're looking at our data sets, keep in mind that you can be combining data from multiple sources. So you may want data that's coming from external pricing tables or marketing data and combining that with your sales dollars and performances. So as an example, but we have users that are taking data from multiple sources, putting them together into one report, one dashboard. So those are things that you're going to be able to do with the system. I'm going to jump into the prepare area, which is where we take the data that Birst knows about and we prepare it or transform it. Some of you know Mike Stitt, you'll see his name there. He actually created these data sets for me originally. And we have customer data and we have order line data. These are my original data sources. What we've done with those data sources, though, is created new prepared sources from the raw data. We've created prepared order lines and prepared customers. And what we do, and I'm actually going to run through and show you how these work. We've taken the order line data and we've added a column, we've put a filter in there, we've added another column, and then that's the data that we're giving our users access to. So let me show you how we actually do that. I'm going to go ahead and click this plus sign here and create a new prepared source and call it order lines 2. So I'm looking at basically a copy of my raw data. And I want to do a couple of things here. I'm sure you can imagine that you may have raw data coming from your system that may include information you don't necessarily want your users using in reports. The one example I'm going to use here is that I have some items that I have on orders that have a 0 cost. We don't want our users including those items in any of the reports that they're pulling. So I'm going to go ahead and click the unit cost column here, go over here and say I want to filter, and I want to only see unit cost. I only want to see items where the unit cost is greater than 0. And I'll just go ahead and apply this here, and it will run through and hide those items that have a 0 cost for me. You'll see that column is actually highlighted now, and you'll see all the items with 0 costs are gone. We can do some more sophisticated things with the transformations here. One of the ones that I want to show you is adding a column and actually parsing data that's in a column. So I'm going to add a step here and add a column, and I'm going to call it order month. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull the month out from the order date. And the reason that I'm doing that is because I know that I'm going to want a report that shows me my order history and quantities by month, irregardless of the year. So I have multiple years worth of data in here. And I want to know how my sales do in October versus September or November, not just for 2018, but for 2017 and 2016 altogether. How do I do in October overall versus the other months? So I'm going to pull out the order month as a separate field. I'm going to make that field a numeric field. So 1 will be January, 2 will be February. Now this is a step here that maybe you know, you'd need someone with a little bit of training to do, but it's actually pretty easy. We have a function called date part in Birst, and I'm going to pull out the date part called month, and I'm going to pull it from the order date. And I'm going to go ahead and apply this. And we'll see at the end here, we're going to have a new column. Hopefully you can see that, called order month, with the number that corresponds to the month that the order was placed. So what I'd like to do now is actually jump to the area where we use this. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. There's one more thing I wanted to point out here. You see down here, it's creating a little history of our transformations. Something that's very powerful with Birst is that Birst remembers and saves those transformations. So I have a data set, a raw data set that I'm pulling from, in this case, CloudSuite Industrial. every time I update that data, every time Birst pulls that new data, it reruns those transformations. I do not have to remember that I want to hide items that don't have a cost, or I don't have to remember to pull those months out so that I can use them on my reports. I can pull the raw data that I want. It runs those transformations automatically with any new data that comes into the system. And I can create multiple data sources and data sets here for different types of users or different users, so that in some cases I might be hiding locations or product codes from certain users, and other users might have access to everything. So you're able to create data sets that are unique to users or user groups, and Birst remembers all of that so that you set that up once and it continues to work. So we're going to take this data and we're going to jump into Birst Visualizer, which is the area where we create charts, graphs, reports, and this is the fun stuff. I'm going to create a brand new report. Over here, we have measures and we have attributes. Measures are normally numeric fields that can be measured and shown in a chart. I am going to start with attributes though. And I am going to find that order month. So I'm going to want to show my sales by order month. So it's starting my chart here. I'm going to go back to measures, and I'm going to pick extended price as the measure of my my sales dollars. Pretty easy, right? A couple other really nice things that you can do. If we go back up to the chart here, I'm going to pick something from actually the customer table, and this may be something that's not even coming from CloudSuite. It could be coming from an external system, but I'm going to pick the region that the customers are located in, and it automatically gives me colors based on region. And you'll see that it's actually adding the fields over here. It knows usually what I want to do, but I can drag, if I want color to be based on order month and I want region to actually be my category, I can change those things just by dragging them up and down on that list there. But I have a chart. I can save this chart. I can put it on a dashboard. I want to show you one more thing first though. Excuse me, some of those drill downs we were doing, some drill downs can happen automatically, but a lot of times you're going to want to set up your own report level drilling. You're going to want to tell the system what you want to drill down into. So I'm going to add a drill path. And I'm going to start with that region that we already have listed. And I'm going to drill to, if I could spell it right, customer territory. And then I'm going to drill down to product code. Let me show you how this actually works. So we're still in the design tool here, but I actually can test the drill downs right in here. So I was drilling down from the chart into our territory, and if I click on a territory, I can drill right down into the product codes. Right now I'm only seeing the first 100 items. I can show all of them if I want to. And then I can go ahead and save this chart. And I'm going to call it order by month by region. Okay. And we're going to go to a dashboard. Dashboard's going to be just a little bit different than the one I was showing you earlier. I saved a space for a new report. I'm going to go ahead and edit this dashboard. And I won't go into all of the features that you can, all the style features with these dashboards, but you can change colors. You can put pictures in the background. You can change fonts and colors and shading. Right now, we're just going to add that existing report that we created here, all my reports. The one I just created is down here. And there it is. I'm going to put it on my dashboard. I'm going to publish the dashboard, which just takes a second. And now that new dashboard is available to everybody. I can go ahead and drill down on the dashboard. I can we're already drilled down. I can change, the size of the chart. I can add other features, but the users are already seeing this chart. So, so nice features there. This chart over here, we didn't see one like this on the other dashboard, so I thought I'd point it out. This is drilling down by date, and we can go ahead and see that our chart changes based on the dates over here. So those are some of the features that your power users, your developers will have access to. Some of the things that I really didn't get into the details on were the data connections, getting the data into the Birst cloud, connecting multiple data sources to each other and joining them. Those things are actually pretty easy as well. And if you have any specific questions about those, you can absolutely get in touch with us and we can answer them. We had one question I'd like to answer. Does Birst integrate with Infor CRM? And yes, it does. Birst CRM data can be accessed by Birst in the same way we access data from any other system. Infor CRM data can be exported, can be accessed by Birst. So yes, absolutely. And one of the things you can do very nicely is if you have your Infor CRM data in the same kind of format that you have your CloudSuite Industrial or SyteLine data in, for example, if you're sharing customer numbers, we can join that data together and you can have dashboards and reports that show all of that data together. So yep, absolutely, we can do that. So that was my presentation for today. I hope that I've given you a good idea of the front-end tools that users have access to and how powerful and easy to use those tools can be, as well as a little bit about the back-end tools and the ability to create standard data sets and business rules with your data that you can give your users access to. Thank you for joining us today.